Greetings, brethren. So, you want to get better at chess. Chess is a difficult game to learn, and sometimes when you're watching people like GothamChess or Hikaru Nakamura and they're trying to teach you how to play those games, it's a little bit difficult because they're such a higher level than you. They keep on saying things like, oh, push the pawn to d4 or take on f3 with the knight. It's difficult to pick that up sometimes, so the goal of this series is to just try and break it down, just play games move by move, understand why some moves are good to play, why some moves are bad to play, and just general principles like taking the center, getting your knights out before your bishops, stuff like that. So we'll play a game here against Maria, and hopefully this will help you learn how to get better at chess. So we'll start here against Maria. So what you're going to want to do is, if you don't know openings very much, personally I am a knight to f3 kind of player myself there, but when you're getting into chess, you're just learning, you probably want to take the center because space is very important in chess. So you want to push one of your pawns in the center here. Let's push the one in front of the king just because it opens up the bishop and the queen if you ever want to take them out. And we'll see what Maria does. She'll probably push back. Okay, so a very standard way for games to go is, well, he pushed this pawn out, but I also want to get my pieces into the game as well. So if I bring my knight out here, then I attack this piece in the center, and he's forced to kind of respond to it, otherwise he'll just lose the pawn. See, he brings out his knight. Now it's like, okay, well, you want to get your knights out before your bishops in general, so now just bring out your other knight. A very common move is for him to just bring out his knight as well, and then you have a 4 knights game. And there we go. So now you want to get your bishops out, but you also want to castle your king. So, an easy way to kind of put pressure right here is to bring out your bishop to attack this knight. Another principle is just bring out your pieces. Try to get them into the zone and don't hang anything. That is the most important part. But now we know this knight was defending this pawn, so if we threaten to take it, they take back, then we can win this pawn in the center. So now they go for this. Yeah, so this knight moves. Okay, what does it attack? It attacks this bishop. Well, we have defended our bishop with our knight here. It attacks this knight, which is defended by pawns, but also the queen. You want to make sure that your pieces are defended, usually not just by pawns, because if he took here, then you have to take back with your pawn. Now you have a bad structure and your king's kind of out in the open. So you got to think, okay, he moves his piece here. What do we want to do with it? Well, we don't want to just take right back like this, because then he's just going to push his... he's going to have his pawn here, and that's going to be a little bit dangerous for us. But this knight used to defend this pawn, so now we can take this pawn in the center. And now his knight is a little bit misplaced because the knight, well, it's not defended by anything. Okay, so opponent thinks, yeah, just gonna give a check here. Well, you take back. When your opponent makes a bad move, you take back with the piece. Know that your queen is defending everything. And now we are just up a full knight there. So he brings his pawn forward, trying to bring out his bishop. You have to understand, okay, when my opponent makes a move, what are they trying to do? Well, here, this pawn move allows the bishop to get out here, which if he's given a couple turns, moves this knight, then this knight will be under attack. Not super anything threatening right now. So I think what we'll do is we'll just make sure that we castle our king. We're up material, so let's just keep our king safe. Just make sure that everything is okay. Because given any danger, this knight can come back, this bishop can come back. Okay. Well, that pawn move he's trying to bring out to attack our king probably, but it's a bit slow. Let's just move this pawn forward here, because we want to try to get this bishop out. You want to get your knights out, you want to get your bishops out. So now we have our bishops out, we can put him here. Before he had no scope whatsoever, because he couldn't move anywhere because these two pawns were here. But now we can always just bring back, if they attack our knight, we can bring back our knight to this square, which is now defended. Doing this now, trying to get his bishop out, which we must realize that as well. So now, okay, he's got this out, now he's going to try to get those pieces out. What I will do here in this position is just bring out this bishop, because, boom, bishop is brought out, knight is attacked, and now my rooks are connected. Rooks connected on the back rank are a very big deal, because now they support each other. If, let's say, you hang your rook accidentally over here, this rook will be able to take it. Rooks on the back rank is quite powerful. Okay. So now this doesn't really attack anything. Nothing really happens. Well, now we got to think. What do we want? Well, their king is out in the open a little bit. They haven't castled their king or anything. Their bishops are not moved. So what we can do is, to put a little bit of pressure on things, we can bring out our queen over here to set up a battery onto the king here, which is defended by the knight, the queen, and the bishop. But we realize, well, if we take this, if we take the knight here, then he has to take back with his queen, in which case there will be one less defender here and the king will just be completely out in the open. Of course, that can happen. We'll see here. Well, if we take this knight, then he'll pretty much have to take back with the bishop, and that doesn't really do anything. So our mission there doesn't super work. However, we know that, well, he can't move his knight, or he loses his queen because the bishop pins it. So you have to put pressure on a pinned piece. What does this mean? Well, what we're going to do is move out this knight over here to attack this knight a second time. Now this is it's just a free knight. Like, he can just move his knight to take it, but then our bishop can get his queen. So that's a high value trade there. You want to look for pinned pieces and put pressure on them. See, he takes it, but now we just get his queen. And if he takes back with the king, this knight actually forks the king and the rook in the corner. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't even take back. We'll see what he does here. You got to think, okay, our king's completely safe over here. Okay, he takes that. Unfortunately for him, no, this doesn't work. Okay, that's totally fine. Now we can just... So we're up a queen here. So now we just kind of want to consolidate everything, make sure that everything's just kind of safe. So we'll bring back our bishop here. We'll bring back our bishop here, actually. Because if we brought back our bishop to this square, then he would probably just push this pawn down, and then we have to move it again. He can, of course, do this, but then we can line up with this and kind of force a bishop trade. When you're up material like we are, we want to be put into positions where we can just trade. So what does this threaten? This doesn't threaten very much. You can check my king, but it doesn't really do anything. What I'm going to do is just threaten mate. Because it's like, okay, this here, bishop lined up with the queen to threaten this, and it's very difficult to stop, actually. You can, of course, he can bring his bishop back, but then what do we want to do? Well, he brings his bishop back, then we can just threaten other areas. Like, we're up material, we want to kind of just force a trade here. Maybe we won't do that, maybe we won't threat mate, because that's actually a decent move for him. But if we go like this, then we're guaranteed to pick up at least one of these pieces. One of these two pieces here. So he does give this check. That is fine. Like, he can take here, but then it's defended twice, actually, so it's totally fine. He does take. I will take. In this situation, you can take it with this or with this pawn. In this situation, you want to take with the pawn that's closer to the center of the board, just to keep your king safe, because if you start opening up on the side, then you start getting complications with the rooks. So we'll just take back like this. And now there are big time threats on the king over here, because now this rook is open. Okay, so this actually is a bad move. Why? Okay, so he brings this pawn forward to attack this bishop, and we think, okay, we have to move the bishop. But actually, if we take with this bishop, and he takes back, then it's a check, and we get his rook in the corner, actually. So you got to think. When your opponent makes a move, okay, this bishop's got to move. What can I think here? Well, there's tons of good moves here, because you're up so much material. Like, you can move back here. But actually this loses to this pawn push, because then it's a fork between your king and your bishop. Sorry, your queen and your bishop. So you got to think, okay, where's it going to move? Going to move here, just gets taken. So you can just take the bishop there. Sorry, the pawn. And now if he takes back, which he probably should, he doesn't. Okay, that's fine as well, because now we can just move our bishop back over here, which is defended by a pawn, and there's no pawns that can actually attack this bishop here. So this bishop and pawn combination is very strong. If you can get it in games and it can't be attacked, you usually want to get it, just because it gives you such a strong advantage. Another thing about this position is that both of these guys are targeted on here. So what I will do is just kind of try to put more pressure on this. So I will bring my queen over here, just to line up as many things as possible to the king, because that's what we want to do in a chess game. We want to get to the king. And if he can't defend it, which he really can't, like for instance, this knight can't really, well, this knight can go here, I suppose. But this knight can't move really anywhere except for this square. That's another thing. If you see a piece can't move anywhere, then you might want to try to trap it, take away all the squares that it can go to. Okay, so he realizes that it's probably all over, and he just hangs his knight there. He thought for the check, because he checks both the king and the rook, but it's kind of fine. And now this is still a very big problem for him, which unfortunately I'm not sure that he can do anything about. We are up 9 points of material. Okay, so he goes for this pawn. Not super big deal at all. What I will do is, well, this is a check, so it forces him to move his king somewhere. But this move kind of forces the rook trade, just because he has to take down. Because if he doesn't take, basically his king runs away. Okay, here, defended by the queen. So now the king has to run away somewhere. Okay. And so might as well just munch on this pawn here, and then try to bring up my queen to checkmate here. The king is very trapped in this situation. Okay, just ignores the threat. I don't actually think that he can stop mate now. I think it's just over. There we go. He's trying to get to the back rank, but now it's just checkmate. And there you go. Maria, 1000 level bot. You just got to think, what are my moves doing? What are my moves? What does my opponent want to do? Simple, basic principles of chess. Tune into the next episode, and we'll see what else comes up in a chess game and what else you can learn. Thanks for watching.